genetically mutated warriors and whatnot. Now let's come back to what we call the hardcore original defense tactics. The next topic is the relevance of aircraft carriers in part projection. Our distinguished panel includes Vice Admiral Anup Singh, Vice Admiral Dinesh Luthra, and Vice Admiral Anand Chawla. The discussion will be moderated by Admiral Namba. Let me introduce the panel. Our moderator, Admiral Sunil Namba, the 23rd Chief of Naval Staff. His illustrious naval career, spanning over 4 decades, includes his role as the Chief of Staff of the Southern Naval Command, where he was responsible for the transformation of the training methodology in the Indian Navy. Earlier, as Flag Staff Officer Sea Training, he ushered in new measures to greatly enhance the battle effectiveness of the Indian warships. He implemented significant coastal security initiatives and multi-agency coordination mechanisms which ensure safe seas and secure coasts. His contribution to the Tri-Service Synergy as the Chief of Staff Committee is legendary. He also served as Chairman of the National Maritime Foundation. Vice Admiral, if I may say, Dr. A.K. Chawla, we reduced the Navy after 4 decades of distinguished service to the country. He holds the distinction of having commanded 5 warships and oversaw the induction of INS Vikramaditya into the fleet. Recently, he completed his PhD in the role of maritime power in China's grand strategy. Vice Admiral Dinesh Luthra commanded frontline warships, including the aircraft carrier Virat. His 40 years of distinguished service include being Commander-in-Chief of both Western and Southern Naval Command. He has rich experience in strategy and perspective planning. Vice Admiral Anup Singh, former Commander-in-Chief of the Eastern Naval Command, gave 4 exemplary decades of service to the Indian Navy, which included the command of 4 warships. He led Operations Athun, involving evacuation of non-combatants from war-torn Lebanon in July 2006. He has been Director of Strategic Studies at the Society for Indian Ocean Studies and visiting faculty at NEC. He chronicles the Indian Navy's history from 2001 to 2010 in his book titled Blue Waters Ahoy. So, I leave to the panelists to start.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, the time management of the session has gone for a 6. So, Colonel Sharma was saying for only 45 minutes, but I am going to take my pound of flesh, stick to the 1 hour which we were given right in the beginning.
You are eating into the sumptuous lunch.
I don't care less.
Please go ahead, sir.
We have the topic given to our panel was the relevance of aircraft carrier and power projection. We are going to expand this discussion to a larger issue of maritime power and so just limiting it to aircraft carriers. Unfortunately, it's a white uniform heavy panel, so I hope there's some contrary views within the audience. We in India, especially in North India, tend to forget a very rich maritime heritage and legacy, which dates back over 5,000 years, going back right to the time of the Indus Valley civilization, where we have discovered seals which depict ocean-going vessels. The oldest dock in the world at Lothal is part of the Indus Valley civilization. When you look at India's maritime history and you look at the Chola dynasty, Rajendra Chola, had an empire that stretched all the way to then Indochina, Indonesia. Coming to closer times, India's destiny and future is linked to the ocean, especially to the Indian Ocean, and we are fortunate for our geographical location, which sits astride the most important sea lines of communications which crisscross the Indian Ocean, which connect the west and the east. So, Maritime domain is a very important domain, and today in our panel we have got three experts to talk about this issue. We'll have, starting out with Admiral Luthra, who will talk on the larger issue of Indo-Pacific, followed by Chawla on the carrier program, the way ahead, and finally Admiral Anup Singh, the relevance of the aircraft carrier. You all have 10 minutes each, then we'll open it up to question and answer among the audience. Then I'll give you some time to wrap up. Thank you very much. Over to you, Girish.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a privilege for us, naval panel, to be here in this Tri-City to bring in a maritime perspective and talk a little bit about the maritime domain and the aircraft carriers. Now, I'm going to be talking about the Indo-Pacific to set the stage, because the aircraft carriers are not just purely war-fighting machines. War-fighting machines, yes, they are, very much. But in addition, they have a larger strategic role to do, strategic, operational and tactical roles to do. And therefore, the first thing to do is to place it in the strategic context. Next slide, please. The emerging environment around us is very peculiar. It is something that we haven't seen for a very long time. We have a new form of internationalism that is taking place, and a very hazy geopolitics. The old order, all of you know, is giving way, and the new order is yet to take its position. And therefore, this is a period of uncertainty in which we are going through phases like globalization versus nationalism. We are going through traditional security concepts not being applicable anymore, and almost all countries are following this strategy of hedging. Next slide, please. And within this overall global framework, it is the Indo-Pacific region, which is now the area of geopolitical, geo-economic and technology competition. There are many reasons why this has become the new area for contestation and competition. But the primary reason is the shift of global economic activity to this region. As the slide indicates, 60% of the world's GDP, 2/3, that is 66% of the global growth, and 70% of world trade takes place in the Indo-Pacific region. Today, 6-7 years ago, there was this debate whether Indo-Pacific, Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean combined, it's too large an area to be considered a coherent strategic space. That debate is behind us. Today, the Indo-Pacific is very much a coherent and accepted strategic space, while recognizing there are sub-regions within the Indo-Pacific which have their dissimilarities, but the interconnectedness of this region is what is giving the new dynamism to this region. And within this new development of the Indo-Pacific region, the maritime areas are the growth underbelly of the Indo-Pacific, where all the developmental activities really are taking place. I must also here add that the Indo-Pacific debate in 2016-17 was centered around maritime security, but today the debate has moved to encompass a much broader agenda, which includes various issues, including climate and non-traditional issues, digitalization, technology. All have come into the overall canvas of the Indo-Pacific. Next slide, please. Now, a large number of countries and organizations have outlined their vision or their strategies or their approach to the Indo-Pacific. This includes, of course, the United States, which in 2017 adopted it in their national security strategy and then came up with the Indo-Pacific strategy report. Japan, Australia, France is an Indo-Pacific power, a resident Indo-Pacific power. Germany, Netherlands, and these three European countries soon led the EU's Indo-Pacific strategy to be adopted, the 27 countries of the European Union adopted the Indo-Pacific strategy. Despite many differences, it was quite an achievement for all 27 to agree to come up with an Indo-Pacific strategy. UK, ASEAN, and very recently, just last week, IORA, that is Indian Ocean Rim Association, and Canada. Canada has just announced its Indo-Pacific strategies just about 5 days back. Next slide, please. China, let me give a couple of points about China. We have all seen in the last 20-25 years, we have seen the rise of China with a new strategic identity. Why do I use this term strategic identity? China has acquired a new strategic identity. And in this strategic identity, there has been a decisive shift to the maritime orientation. China recognizes that its ambition of being a regional and a global power cannot be fulfilled without suitable positioning and actions in the maritime domain. Now, when I say decisive shift to the maritime orientation, I'm not for one moment suggesting that it has given up its continental orientation. Certainly, continental orientation continues, but it is a mix of the continental and the maritime orientation. In this mix, there is a readaptation and there is an increased emphasis on the maritime orientation. Earlier, the PLA Navy was, till 1999, was not making any port calls in the Indian Ocean regions. Since 2010, it is about 20 port calls every year.